So that was the scene during a St. Louis protest in a gated community against the mayor. So now, this is let me give you some context, right? So the mayor's Lita Cruzen, right? And so during a regularly scheduled coronavirus press briefing, right, she was asked about the protests, right, that had been happening all over not only the city but also the country, and she said, "Well, it's not really a two-way conversation because the protesters are very loud. We're getting a very loud response from the demonstrators." Okay, and you're an elected official. You're supposed to listen to the community, right? So the community, by the way, is like, look, we got ideas on how you can help with policing, how we can change things, and so they sent out ideas in writing, to which, of course, Mayor Cruzen decided to publicly dox them. Yeah, uh, basically to say their ideas, their names, and addresses out loud during a Facebook live stream. So that obviously made a lot of people mad, and she later on pulled that video and apologized for it. Right now, what does any of this have to do with Karen and Clyde over here? Right? We'll get to that. So now that led to more protests. Right? So she doxed them. The protesters and demonstrators demanded that she resign after that. And they took their demonstration into a very ritzy part of the city, central west end of Lake Avenue. So that's where this happened, right? This is a gated community, which is filled with very affluent white people. And as these Black Lives Matter protesters came through, they began to shit their pants, basically, in fear of all these black people on the street. Oh my God, there's black people outside, and they're marching. It's the black people. It's the Black Lives Matter. It's the Antifas. They're after us. Oh my God! And so here, this couple comes out with their literally armed, right? And here's more of that video. Okay, then. Insanity. Imagine being so scared of black people demonstrating, right, in your neighborhood that you decide that you need to feel, or you need to point guns at them, right? Oh my God, there's so much of a danger. Those unarmed people with drums. I mean, come on, man, really? Kind of ironically proves the point of protests, right? Because you've got these white, affluent, right wing Americans that are taught to see these people as dangerous thugs, even though, again, they're unarmed, they're peaceful demonstrators, and they're not doing anything other than, of course, saying, like, hey, we would like some justice. We got doxxed, right? And so we would like you to step down from your position. It's literally what they're doing. And I know the right wing's like, oh, these guys they're out here, they're being patriots and Second Amendment, defending their property. Again, they weren't even on their property. But at the same time, you also have the First Amendment, protests, literally protected by the First Amendment. The first comes before the second, just saying that. So, I mean, come on. Now, another thing that the right wingers are saying, of course, is like, oh, it's a gated community. I can't believe they would go to a private gated community and invade it with their blackness, essentially, right? So, look, I think sidewalks should be public property, period, right? I hate the idea of gated communities. I think we should abolish them. I think we should get rid of gated communities. I'm done with it. You know why? Because the whole point of a gated community is to keep poor people and minorities out. So these rich assholes get to live in nice, private secludedness, right? And don't have to see the reality of how everyone else lives. They're literally walling themselves off because they are so scared of average people. They can't deal with it. And of course, these are the same people that watch Fox News all day, right? And so Fox News has been going on and on and on and on and on about the protesters. Oh my God, they're so violent. The demonstrators are violent. They're all rioters. They're all terrible. That's simply not true. But they believe it. They believe this stuff. And so that's why they were out there literally pointing weapons at these demonstrators. I mean, look, I was trained on how to properly use and store a firearm. Okay. I used to work at a shooting club when I was younger. And so the number one rule is that you don't point your weapon at something unless you intend to use it. She was out there cavalierly pointing that weapon at people. She could have accidentally had an accidental discharge, right? Not to say like she's going to shoot somebody on purpose. No, but accidents happen. Some of those weapons have hair triggers. I don't know if they had anything like that in the pistol or that AR-15, but we don't know. Might as well assume the worst at this point. Luckily, it didn't go off. Luckily, there wasn't an accidental discharge. And luckily, nobody got hurt or killed. But at the same time, what are you doing? No, you got to keep your weapon pointed at the ground and keep your finger away from the trigger. If you're going to be armed at all, which you shouldn't even have to be, right? And that's the other problem with this. Who's really the armed thugs here? Again, they talk about how dangerous these black demonstrators are, the supposed Antifas, right? And the Black Lives Matter protesters. And when in reality, the dangerous people, I see those two people, and I think there's the danger. That's the real danger to the community. People like that. These people are deeply irresponsible and dangerous. But of course, they say, oh, no. And they explain to a local news outlet that, man, we're really afraid, right? We were fearing for our lives. Why? Because some black people invaded their precious gated community, had the gall to to march by their yard. Ridiculous. These people are ridiculous. No. Look, these people really are the face of the frightened white elite in this country. And I hope people continue to see them for what they are. A result of ignorance, fear, and hate. That's what these people are. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a patreon.com/TYTNation set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.